I swear, 2020 shenanigans just will not stop. As it turns out, not only did the omnibus spending / COVID relief bill contain a menagerie of things that have nothing to do with helping Americans, but it also contains something very worrying regarding the government and how they would look at what they call gun violence. We'll break it down after this. TA Targets offers some of the most innovative and robust target systems money can buy. Featuring AR-550 steel and forward-thinking build quality, these targets are built to last. Whether you're blasting every day or plinking on the weekends, TA Targets has something for everyone. To get 10% off your entire order, head over to tatargets.com and use our code TGC10. Welcome back to the Gun Collective. My name is Jon Patton, and you are watching The Fight for Gun Rights. Buried in the 5,593 pages of this new appropriations bill are some really worrying things. First, billions upon billions for things that have nothing to do with actual relief for the hardest hit people in the U.S. Now, a spending bill is actually a normal thing here in the U.S., but with the COVID relief package attached to it, I think it's drawing a lot more attention to the completely ridiculous things we spend money on as a country. According to a recent statement made by President Trump, it contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion to Egypt and the Egyptian military, which again, according to Trump, buys almost exclusively Russian military equipment, not ours. There's $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, $40 million for the Kennedy Center in D.C., which isn't open, $1 billion to the Smithsonian, and an extra $150 million for the National Gallery of Art, both of which are not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, that's a fish, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of downed trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI, up to $1,800 for family members of illegal aliens, and much more. $100 million to NASA, presumably to desperately catch up to SpaceX and Blue Origin, $13 million to Howard University for no reason at all, $9 million to miscellaneous Senate expenses, $1 billion to save the airlines. There's a provision to give $25 million to the ATF, presumably for no reason at all, because they're useless. Another $25 million to the NICS, or National Instant Check System program under the Fix NICS legislation, $25 million for additional salary for the House of Representatives. Yes, again, they voted to give themselves more money. When Americans are at the hardest hit point in our country's history, let's give ourselves more money, right? Congress. And here's the kicker. According to Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts, another $25 million will go to the CDC for research on what they refer to as gun violence prevention. Senator Markey, along with Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney out of New York, have been pushing for more CDC funding for a long time and have been working to get a bill passed called the Gun Violence Prevention Research Act. That act, that didn't even get voted on, stated that $50 million a year should be allocated to their cause. Are we getting a deal, like a special deal, by paying only $25 million? That's a lot of money. That is an enormous amount of money. The reality is that when I went looking for the money, I tried searching the nearly 6,000-page document for some kind of connection. I wanted to share the real text with you guys, but it's not there. I found it odd that a senator would be bragging about securing that funding, but it not actually being written in the bill. And then I realized what is actually happening. The funding is hidden within other chunks of money being sent to the CDC. That's the only reasonable conclusion I can come to. If you guys can find it, I would love to hear about it. What this probably means is that your taxes are being used to fund this heavily biased research on something that has been deemed a public health crisis, even though the number of homicides with a firearm are incredibly low in comparison to many, many other things, according to the FBI. In a previous video, we covered the data reported by FBI, and in 2019, there were only, I know this sucks, there were only 10,258 homicides with firearms. It sucks, but it's the reality. It's less than a lot of other things. It's hardly a public health crisis, if you ask me, especially when you consider the fact that we are throwing $25 million of your money at it. Not only that, but there's no telling whether or not the CDC is a neutral party, and that the research would not be heavily biased based on where that funding is coming from. They're not elected officials. They don't represent the people. This could be sketchy. I think that this is dangerous because by acknowledging it as a public health crisis, we change the narrative surrounding the issue. If we allow this to be referred to as a health issue, it removes the responsibility from the people perpetrating these deadly acts and puts it onto an inanimate object. The manipulative efforts here are really, really strong. If you watched my video outlining the Biden-Harris gun plan, you would know that they lead with the line, "Joe Biden knows that gun violence is a public health epidemic." They are poisoning the well here, guys. Not only do we have to deal with these ridiculously complicated appropriation bills full of Lord knows what funding going to the rest of the world, but we're also faced with this shift in language being used by people that want to strip you of your rights. They claim that this is a safety issue, an issue about protecting children, and now they're painting the picture that this is a public health crisis. This is premium grade emotional manipulation. Politicians are using language laced in deceit in order to advance their agenda. The numbers don't support their claims at all, but if they can paint a picture that this is a huge problem with the support of their media cohorts, the uninitiated might buy into it, and we're screwed. I don't know what will come of this year's appropriations bill and the COVID relief that may or may not come down the pipe, but I do know that the things happening behind closed doors in DC are absolutely not about granting people more freedoms. If you guys found this video helpful or educational in any way, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more gun news every single week, get subscribed because I would love to have you back. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.